the situation here is that this land was set aside as a conservation easement in perpetuity in exchange for the opportunity to have an incidental take permit on the rest of the development that you saw as you drove into this area here. And the idea behind that conservation easement in perpetuity is that the developer at that time, which was Lumberman's, I guess, Lumberman's,
correct, yeah.
you know, they made a deal with the county that said, we will set aside this property here for a couple of reasons, primarily to save the golden cheek warbler, but also because this is all the recharge zone to the Edwards Aquifer. And so this is very damaging to the recharge zone because of the impermeable amount of impervious cover, thank you very much, it's being put down. And so what they're asking to do then is to violate that initial agreement that was set up at the very beginning. So that's one issue. The other issue is that this really is, on this side over here, prime golden cheek warbler habitat, which is an endangered species. And the golden cheek warbler is the only true Texas bird. Every golden cheek warbler in the world was born in Central Texas. So I would personally advocate for the golden cheek warbler to be the state bird of Texas instead of the mockingbird, but that's a different that's a different issue that we'll attack later.
Next week.
Right, next week. And the golden cheek warbler has a very, very specific habitat needs. It requires old growth juniper forest, and it also requires oak. And the reason behind that is it uses the bark that is on the old growth juniper with spider webs to help build its nest. But then it uses the insects that are on the oak trees as food. And so it needs this mixed habitat that is a highly endangered habitat in Central Texas, because everywhere where you see old growth juniper is where people want to build houses. So we have this serious conflict that has been going on actually for the last 150 years. When they first, when biologists first documented the golden cheek warbler in the 1860s, they recognized that even then that bird's habitat was in danger, primarily because of agricultural processes that was taking all of the forests, right? So even at the very beginning, they recognized that this bird was going to have trouble. And now it's not the agricultural processes so much that are taking away the habitat for the golden cheek warbler, but it's the development process. So that's the other aspect of this situation, in addition to the fact that there was a covenant made with the with Bexar County to protect this land, is that this land here is very very valuable, and the other 140 or 60 acres, I can't remember exactly how much it is, that habitat, I haven't actually had the opportunity to survey it, but I would argue that it's not the same as this habitat here. And then the third point I want to make is that if they do get a chance to get this 66 acres here, it destroys more than the 66 acres, because the golden cheek warbler requires interior woodlands, and this is a kind of a narrow neck of the conservation easement, and the 66 acres divides that neck completely in two. So what it does is it not only destroys the 66 acres, because it'll now look like all of the rest of this stuff, it will impact the remaining land that's out there as well, because it destroys that interior habitat for the golden cheek warbler. So there's a much larger impact than just the 66 acres.
We, of course, we discovered this, it popped up on the Federal Register, that the developer wants to take 63 acres right here of highly critical golden cheek warbler habitat. It's a conservation easement that was set up when we first started Cibolo Canyons. 700 plus acres that all wraps around the golf course. The conservation easements are supposed to be in perpetuity. So why are we now able to whittle away little pieces of it? What he wants to do is switch it for 144 acres on the, is it? Okay, on the other side of the golf course that in the beginning was already identified as, no, the warbler is not there. There's a couple dots on the survey one time, but the bird doesn't want to live over there. It's scrubland and not great, but this is where it wants to be, and they want to put 100 homes right here. So they put it up on the register right before Christmas, which is great timing for contacting people. Everybody's on break. So we had 2 weeks, we were scrambling, and the neighborhood came together just like that. Everybody, what do we do? Who do we contact? So we started making phone calls. Involving the press is wonderful. Thank you for being here. Audubon got on board, Sierra Club, Aquifer Alliance, Cops has jumped in, and my phone's been blowing up this morning with a whole bunch of other interests. So it's rolling. Thank you for getting the word out. We hope that tomorrow's the last day to comment. They only did a 30-day comment period. Some of the stuff I've looked on there, some people get 90 days. I don't know what the criteria is for that. How come we only got 30? I'm just throwing that out there. I have no idea. But anyway.
Is it a done deal?
We don't know. I talked to Fish and Wildlife. I said, okay, so you guys get all the comments and then you read them and you make your decision. Is it finished? And she's like, well, I don't, you know, we talk about it. We go back with the developer and we work out some issues. And I don't know, it depends on who you talk to. So I don't know. I have no idea about that. I hope it's not a done deal.
Yeah, and I guess I'm Annalisa Peace with Greater Edwards Aquifer Alliance. We get involved in all of these new developments over the recharge zone, and I guess we feel like the protections are just being whittled away. We see constantly our staff tracks approvals for new development. We see amendments to plans that are meant to protect this fragile recharge area being amended constantly. We've got studies where we've had literally hundreds of amendments over the past few years. So we feel like the city is not making an earnest attempt at actually protecting these lands, and we'd like to see the city, and we hope to, whichever track is developed, because the developer said they were going to develop somewhere, that the city would work with us to make sure that whatever development goes in is the most protective of the recharge zone and of our water supply.
Who have you heard from with the city?
Pardon me?
Who have you heard from with the city?
No one.
We're just outside of their official, we have no representation out here with that. Yeah. We have Grant Moody, the new commissioner. Their office reached out this morning. So of course we sent them every speck of information that we have, many files for them to slog through. So we're hoping that they'll get on board and work with, you know, everybody, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, it's a new group.
Have you heard from the county at all?
No, nothing. Well, this morning, Commissioner Moody's office, somebody from the office reached out to a reporter I talked to yesterday, who called me. I talked to my friend Gina. She sent the information. So there you go.
Yeah, and I will say that, you know, on another issue we had, the county's very frustrated because Texas does not give counties authority to regulate development. So being that this is in the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction, it's pretty much largely left up to the city.
Yeah, see, there's so much I don't know. That's why I have you guys. Thank you very much. Or we have you. Yes.
So anybody else want to, Jerry?
Come on up, Jerry.
Yeah, this is an example of the difficulties that's happened out here. I've been living in Encino Park for 34 years.
Jerry, what's your last name?
Morrissey. I'm a Sierra Club member. We were part of the groups that gathered petitions to try to keep this in a natural area. There was this was being looked at as a potential state natural area, just like in Government Canyon's time, you know, and there was discussions, but what happened is Marriott came in, purchased the land. We didn't get the opportunity, but, you know, we tried through this petition, you know, to slow it down, stop it, change it, and things changed. This was the promise. The promise was that we were going to protect this land, you know, and Britt has explained well, it's the recharge zone, it's endangered species, you know, and basically Annalisa is talking about the other thing. We keep whittling away with everything, tree ordinances, whatever. So I'm glad this neighborhood decided to actually, you know, try to protect this piece of property that's very important for the environment. And I would think that I would urge of all y'all to make comments to Fish and Wildlife, because ultimately they're going to make the decision. So I think that we need to argue that it's prime habitat. The other change is not, you know, is not equal, and therefore you should rule against this. So I think everybody needs the right to comment, regardless of how technical or whatever it is. I think that would make a difference in terms of that, because basically they're going to have a lot of decisions. Obviously, we would like to work with the county and San Antonio, but ultimately what happens is grassroots is what's important. So everybody needs the right to comment, irregardless. I think we have a day or two to get it done.
Tomorrow.
So I hope you do it. Thank you.
It's tomorrow. It's
Tomorrow. So you got to find the site, get on it, write a comment of any sort that makes good sense.
That's right. That's right. You want to say?
Copson Metro is made up of 20 churches, schools, and unions, and we negotiated with Lumberman's, the developer, a group of our clergy from our institutions, and we were promised that this land would be protected in perpetuity, that the raises at the golf resort would be a living wage, and that the environment would be protected. And if they're lying to us, they should admit they're lying.
Mike, what's your last name?
Phillips?
Yeah, can I ask a general question? Are we here yet? Okay. I mean, it does seem like the city right now, we're voting next week to shut down a coal plant and a whole new generation scenario, and this whole conversation we've been having among all these different city committees about our regional footprint, right, and how we affect the area, and we're told that a lot of this is we've got to meet growth. We always have to supply new homes and new. Where are you seeing conversations that are most likely to step into this space and join with you within the committee level or beyond? Because I'm not hearing a great defense of green space and endangered species within the climate planning.
Well, we're just residents, so to speak, a small but mighty group.
I guess so. The only way we find out is that we have Nathan Glavey, who's on our staff, goes through all the agendas for the different council committees, and we're actually in 21 counties, so he's going through a lot of different agendas. But we are notified of these issues of growth in San Antonio, which is where our office is, by Nathan finding them on the agendas. That we are not included in any of this kind of decisions, and we have made it abundantly clear that we're willing to work with the city on these issues of growth in this environmentally sensitive area.
Who have y'all talked to from the wildlife fisheries?
Fish and talk. It was kind of a serendipity thing there. I just wrote a note and said, hey, can you tell me about the habitat conservation stuff? And I was sent a map that had the hatch marks on it, red for green. I don't know if y'all have seen that map. It showed where the swap was going to happen. It was serendipity. So.
Do you remember who you spoke with over there?
Yeah, no, I don't want to say. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to get, she probably likes her job. I don't want to, I don't know. I don't know. So no, I would rather not say that.
Sure.
I'll protect my source. But it's funny yesterday. Well, it wasn't funny, but the developer says, we were just really surprised that the residents found out about it. Yeah. We're like, well, yeah, so were we. So, they did their best to just slide this right on through, and that's the operation that they do. That's how they work. So
I just say that as residents who actually bought in this area, we are not necessarily anti-development. What we're looking for is responsible development. And we are not seeing that currently. In fact, when Four Star bought this land, the types of development that were going on changed. Clear cutting increased a great deal. More houses were put on smaller lots.
Starwood.
Yes, Starwood. Yeah. Sorry, thank you.
Oh, what is Starwood?
Anyway, I just wanted that. I mean, we all benefit from the J.W. Marriott, who has actually been a responsible custodian of the land thus far. So, yeah.
The original developer,
Four Star.
They actually put walking trails in. They left a lot of green space, and when they developed, they didn't clear cut the entire neighborhood. They would clear the lot that they sold and place the house on it. and you can go through some of the old neighborhoods, and there are actually original trees, not those little stick trees that these guys are so happy about doing.
Yeah.
So that's part of the thing. And what's wrong with walking trails? Everybody needs outdoor space. It's a mental, it's just good for you, you know, especially if you're in front of your device all day long. Go breathe some air, you know, and if you leave the original trees, that air will be clean for you. So it's a win-win. So anyway.
Apart from submitting comments, what's next for you guys?
It's in wildlife's hands, right? What we have to wait to see what they say, and I don't even know how you find that out when they make their determination, because it's all been sort of a me emailing, going, "Hey, what's the status?"
We'll be tracking it, and we'll also, excuse me, the Aquifer Alliance will be tracking any kind of city approvals that are required, you know, to get for them to do the development in either location, because both locations are on the recharge zone.
Are
So
they
we can
doing
keep
an
y'all informed.
environmental assessment or impact statement?
They are
and
not
have a
required to
public
do
hearing
that
on it?
because this is not using federal funds.
The developer claims that they did some sort of environmental study. Have they allowed y'all to see that or anything like that?
No.
No.
They, yesterday on the WAI story, said that the Nature Conservancy had been involved in the planning, and I talked to a spokesperson with Nature Conservancy this morning, and they said they really have not been involved in any planning aspects of this. They are aware of it.
That's what we do, right there, in a nutshell. Yeah, bait and switch. So y'all write the best stories of your career. Of course.
I just want to introduce myself. My name is Kathy Thomas. I'm a resident here, but and I've reached out to Gina that my daughter, this is worst case scenario, but just putting this out there, my daughter is an environmental attorney, and she actually has done a lot of work with the Warbler on this exact issue. So on behalf of my family, she submitted a comment today. We're signing it. Well written, because she's an attorney. This is what she does. She does this. So I'm not, you know, any help that we may need in that. Hopefully we won't need to do that. But if we do, I can give y'all her name, and she can help us if, you know, depending on how bad this gets.
Yeah, I hope that that's not our, I mean,
of course.
you know, in a perfect world, you just hope that everybody will come together and go, yeah, let's do what's right for future generations.